Welcome to the Opti-Form Podcast. Today we have Max Nottonson on the podcast with us. How's it going, Max?
Going well. How about yourself?
Doing really well, man. So on the Opti-Form Podcast, for everybody who's new, listening in, this is a podcast really bringing you guys, value to really optimize your fitness performance by bringing on, top-level influencers, coaches, all of that, fitness gurus to really give you guys exactly the tools you need in order to reach those fitness goals, okay? So starting off, I always love doing this, Max, is just giving a little background of the people that we bring on here. Because like I said, you have a great Instagram following. I talked a little earlier. You have great graphics and actually explaining things, great copy in the description to actually give value. I think that's super important. So I guess, who are you, bro? Like, where'd you grow up? All that kind of stuff. How'd you get into fitness?
Well, first, I appreciate the kind words. I'm glad you like my stuff. Basically, I started working out my senior year of high school. So right now I'm actually a senior in college. I wasn't in great shape for a lot of high school. I was in decent shape, not super happy with the way I looked. And one day a friend randomly invited me to come to Planet Fitness with him. He had just gotten a membership, and I was pretty hesitant at first. I was not really about working out at the time, but somehow he convinced me to go with him. We went that one time, and I swear after that one time, I don't really remember if I loved it in the moment or what it was, but I just never stopped going after that. And, 4 years later, I've learned a lot over time. I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning, so probably haven't made as much progress as I could have if I started with a little more knowledge. But I'm glad I learned things the way I have, and definitely just come a long way since then, kind of just adopted more habits, became better at it over time. And it kind of got me to where I am now. So as far as my page and my content and all that kind of started last summer. I think my first post was end of May 2017.
Wow.
And
basically,
I don't know what kind of inspired me to start, but I just sort of wanted to have some way on social media to track my progress. I had a couple friends who had started fitness pages, and I felt like I'd been doing it long enough. I had something to offer. So I just kind of started posting once or twice a day, mostly just once. But even since that day, I actually haven't missed a single day of posting. I posted at least once every day, which is kind of cool to be able to say. I started off, it was mostly just pictures of me, and I would do some helpful ones, some updates on my progress with whatever I was doing at the time, cutting or bulking, whatever it was. And then I remember one day last school year, one of the posts that I put up, so I was gaining a following a little bit at the time, little by little. Wasn't going too fast, but it was going up, little by little. And one day I did a post. It was a transformation picture of me and a friend, and it was the top picture was 2016, and it was both of us shirtless, and then the next one was 2017, both of us shirtless. And we didn't even have that crazy of progress or anything, but I guess the picture itself was clickbaity enough that it went super viral. So the most reach a picture of mine had before then was somewhere under 1,000, and that picture within 24 hours was seen by 90,000 people, and that was just a huge jump. So I was okay, I think from that post alone, I got a couple hundred followers, and that was okay, now I kind of get it. I need to do more posts that go viral, get more attention. That's kind of how you gain a following. And that sort of figuring that out has been huge for the actual physical growth of my page. And sort of learning to do that combined with actually putting out quality content, being consistent with my message, and sort of just mastering whatever my personal brand is and whatever it is that I want to be spreading. Those two things combined have just sort of allowed me to understand Instagram, understand how to grow, how to gain followers that actually listen to what I say and value what I have to say. And it's kind of just gotten me to where I am now, which is about almost a year and a half later.
Wow. Yeah. And for those people listening in, I think that you're above 50K now. You're in the mid 50s now or something like that for following.
Yeah, it's around, I think it's 56 point something thousand.
Yeah. Yeah. And so for people listening, he's done that in like a year and a half and kind of, I'm guessing mastered or kind of like, incentivized and got the skills to be able to grow that following through understanding, giving the value, but also what goes viral, clickbait stuff. I mean, it's just realistic. It's, it's life. It's human. We're humans, right? We're drawn to that stuff. And I think that's super freaking cool. And I guess tell us a little more. So you still going to college right now. What are you going to college for, man?
So I came into school as a political science major. I was very into politics coming in, and slowly I realized like it was kind of just driving me crazy. I'm interested in politics, but it gets so dramatic. It's just like not what I want to be doing all the time. And I went into school also interested in fitness, and a friend of mine in my fraternity was in this program called BDIC at my school, which basically allows you to create your own major using classes from different majors. So his literal concentration within the major was called fitness-based entrepreneurship. And I was like, that sounds sick and a lot more like what I want to be doing. And I literally jumped into the program like within that semester. And now that's my major, basically with that exact same title.
Nice. And so then I guess with your following and stuff like that, do you have programs that you offer, or do you coach people on the side and all that kind of stuff, or do you fit mostly just like brand awareness and helping people organically for now through college?
So I've played around with stuff. At the moment, I'm kind of mostly just focusing on building my brand and building the following a little more, giving out value for free. But I played around with different things. And initially, about a year or so ago, I started offering one-on-one coaching online and picked up a couple clients from doing that. But after doing that for, I would say like 8 or 9 months, and I had a couple clients come and go. I had a few that stuck with me the whole time, and it made a ton of progress, and it was really cool to see that. I kind of just wasn't totally in it. I don't think I 100% knew what I was doing. I jumped the gun a little bit in initially starting that, and it was a really cool learning experience. I definitely could go into it again and have a lot more knowledge on how to effectively coach. But at the same time, I would rather not be, focusing as much on just getting income in that way. And I would rather just be committing more time to putting out that content, at least for the time being while I'm at school. Mm-hmm. But the one main project that I did do recently is called the Everyman's Gym Plan. So it's a program I put together this summer. Basically geared around the fact that a lot of people, want to go to the gym and want to work out, but once they get there, they don't know what to do or how to do it. And so the program basically, on top of showing you all the exercises that you're supposed to do, whichever days you go, it lays out in like full detail exactly how to do each exercise, and shows with pictures, shows which muscles to use. So I spent a couple months working on that this summer. That was kind of like my baby for a while I was like committing my time to that when I was home from school, and finally put that out a couple months ago, and have been, marketing a little bit through my page ever since, but did really well in terms of sales for that and got a lot of great feedback. So that was not only a cool product to put out and now have like under my name, but also it's been really helpful for a lot of people. And yeah, that was definitely a cool experience. So
yeah, no, that's great, man. Good for you. For those projects are not easy because there's a lot of tedious, like time consuming things, whatever platform you use, or if you like, more new technology stuff or old school stuff or whatever you use, it's time consuming, because I've definitely went through different projects like that and tried them, maybe not wanting to launch them because I wasn't ready yet, but then maybe I did later, but it didn't work out how exactly I planned. So I go read back, you know what I mean? So there's a ton of that goes in the process. But I guess first off though, since you bring that up, I think it's a great idea to kind of dive into that every man or everyday, what is it again?
Every Man's Gym Plan.
Every Man's Gym Plan. I love that. So great name. I want to kind of go into that first, and then I want to kind of talk a little bit about, the actual social media aspect of things like we've been talking about. But first off, for people listening in, I know people listening to this podcast will definitely relate to that, because I've got on so many application calls now that one of the major things is that, yeah, I can try to eat healthy, or whatever. I'm motivated, but I get super intimidated getting into the gym. And usually it's just like, you know, a bunch of meatheads in the gym and they're like, I don't know what to be doing. And so then I just go do cardio, right? And so kind of walk us through, you know, how you develop this and like what you would say that the best thing to do for those people are.
So it's a good question. Yeah, I had obviously never really put something out like this before, but just one of the main complaints I would get from people who wanted to go to the gym, they would like see the name of the exercise, even see like a picture of the two different phases of the exercise, but you know, they would really have no idea what they were supposed to be focusing on or actually doing, like even which machines to necessarily be using. So that's kind of the part I wanted to focus on top of laying out a specific plan. And it's really the bare essentials in terms of pure content. So it's not explaining like, this is what protein does, this is what these muscles work. You know, it's not all that. It's more just, you go to the gym this day, this is what you're working, do this exercise, you know, do these two together, use these are the muscles you use, and on top of, you know, naming them, it'll actually like highlight them on a picture, and it's all pictures of me actually doing the exercises, and in full detail. I'll say things like, you know, focus on squeezing like a pencil between your shoulder blades, little things like that that'll actually consciously get you to understand how to use the muscles. But in terms of actually creating the program, I basically went into it kind of, my brother helped me come up with the idea, and I would just sit down for a couple hours a day writing out all the content. You know, I started out by deciding what exercises I thought were best for beginners, which is like mostly compound movements, but also not too complicated of movements. And kind of step by step, I put it together and I transferred it over into the program InDesign and sort of put it together in what would eventually become an ebook form. But yeah, I had like this really well thought out rough draft, and I gave it to, I want to say like 15 different family members and friends. And I said like do A, B, and C, like follow this. I'll give you like a week and give me as much feedback as you can. And, you know, people had a lot of little confusions here and there, a lot of common trends. So then I spent like another couple weeks just really implementing all those fixes, revising it as best I could. And I had them do another round, and that round was like 10 times better. People had a couple corrections, not nearly as many, but I implemented those for another week or two, and then eventually put it out with, you know, once I was happy with the final product. That was kind of the process.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's exactly, you know, obviously trial and error a little bit, and you probably got it done faster than most people do. But I guess to kind of give some value to the listeners and stuff, you know, what should, you know, a lot of people are like, I don't know what to do going in the gym. And there's a lot of like, you know, YouTube videos and stuff like that to like look up form, or you could buy into your program that you have showing different stuff like that. But what is your thought on like, how do you get people into the gym, maybe getting past that mental barrier? Like, what would you say to somebody saying like, well, I can look at this stuff, but I'm still scared, right? Like, what would you like kind of tell them in order to at least give themselves the opportunity? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think best thing for beginners is kind of just looking at it objectively. Like the main thing is, you know, you're scared what other people are going to think. It's one thing to actually do the exercises, but if you're alone in the gym, nobody else there, then realistically you're probably going to be willing to try it. It's kind of a combination of that insecurity as well as just like you said, being unsure if you're doing it right. It just, like, also the pure motivation of it, like not being able to, you know, actually get off your ass and get yourself in there. That can be a lot more difficult than people like you or I realize, just because we're so far past that point. Mm-hmm. But I guess I would say, you know, there's a lot of little things you can do, like get a friend to keep you accountable. Mm-hmm. Actually purchasing a plan and having something that you spent money on that you can go in there and follow. Like if you spend money on something, you're so much more likely to go because you're like, well, I already spent the money. I might as well use it. Little things like that, going at different times of the day when the gym's going to be less crowded. hiring a coach or a trainer, that can be huge just because you have somebody physically there to actually hold you accountable and help you every step of the way. It's really just little things like that, figuring out what works best for you, what you're most comfortable with, and definitely on top of everything, just do it what you're comfortable with and what you enjoy. So maybe at first you are only comfortable with cardio. If that gets you in the gym and into the habit of actually showing up there, then by all means, go for it. It's not going to be as effective, but it's 10 times better than not going. Yeah. And yeah, that's really it. Just, finding some form of athletic training if you enjoy that more. Just whatever gets you there and gets you into the habit of it, and allows you to slowly progress towards being able to, weight train and train effectively. I'd say that's the best option.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And I think that most people think that they need to get in and do all these crazy exercises for 2 hours a day and to be able to reach their goals and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's usually just getting to the gym and getting some work, something you enjoy, right? There's tons of things at the gym now. There's rock climbing, there's freaking cardio, soccer, basketball, or you can, obviously we want you guys to try to get into some weight training just because of all the benefits from it. But if you're not totally sure, start out small. Start with maybe the machine stuff. What Max is saying is find something to invest yourself, to hold yourself accountable. Accountability is going to be the main thing, and that's what he's talking about, to be able to stay consistent or more consistent if you didn't have anything. I'm the same way. I'm sure he's probably the same way. If there's not something that's kind of holding him to it, then it's okay, well, I don't need to do that. Obviously for us, probably it's more of not like a meditation, more like a ritual thing, just we feel good. We like that feeling of being at the gym. But for people just getting into it, you have to find something that's going to get you there first. And so I think that the buddy system is awesome. I think that your program would be awesome for people to try out, just because like you said, you're going to invest your money, but also time is also a valuable asset. Invest your time in it, and you're going to understand the knowledge behind it, because when there's obviously you learn something, you feel more confident about it. And then usually it's just that shift in mindset, right, that gets you to go, which is the number one thing. So I totally agree with you. And I guess I want to ask you, do you have different tiers of beginner, intermediate, advanced, or do you it's more of just the beginner phase stuff, or how do you structure, or what would you recommend people doing for their first workouts and just starting out? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So do you mean just my general recommendations or within the actual program?
I would say just do both. First off, generally, people listening to this right now, what can they do right now that you think they would feel confident in achieving, because setting those short-term goals of being able to go in and get the confidence up, what would you say that they should be doing? And then, go into your program, bro, for sure. Tell us different things. Yeah, I'm totally here, man, to plug you. I love it. No, I want to hear about it.
Yeah. I guess generally for beginners, it's always better off starting with something you can sustain. So I'll typically recommend to people that are just starting out, start out 2 to 4 days a week. 3 is kind of common, and just doing full body workouts, actually going through the exercises, getting that frequency in every week, and really just mastering the form of these basic movements. That's the best thing you can do for yourself. It's really easy to want to go in and, I feel like the next step up from just sticking to cardio machines is sticking to the actual training machines, which is actually what I did for the majority of when I was first starting lifting weights. But it's so much more effective to start out learning the basics of form on compound movements. So squats, bench, deadlift, Romanian deadlift, overhead press, things like that. And finding the variations of them that you enjoy the most, and starting out with lighter weight, kind of gauging where your strength is at to start out. Doing that for a couple weeks and just making sure that you can stick with that basic kind of just that basic level of training, and making sure you can be consistent with it and actually start to learn. That's what I would typically recommend as a starting point. From there, you can or what I would typically recommend is, you move up into moving up in weight, because those movements are still going to be crucial as you move up in training. But, Yeah, really just focusing on getting stronger, playing around with different accessory movements for muscles that you find are kind of lagging a bit, and tweaking your training around your preferences and how you want to build your physique and strength. You kind of just improve in that way over time based on, whatever it is you prefer. But yeah, as far as my program, it's really mainly geared towards beginners. So like somebody in an intermediate or advanced lifter could definitely follow it. It is a 3-day split. So you could easily follow it twice a week if you're in the gym 6 days a week. But the program itself is geared towards beginners. It still gives a frequency of twice a week for every muscle group, which is like usually the minimum I recommend for growth. And it gives one upper body day, one lower body day, and a full body day, which, yeah, like I said, advanced intermediate lifters could definitely follow it. It's just definitely ideal for beginners because it's, like I said, not too many days a week. It's something you can keep up with, and especially with the detail in there, it's going to be the most helpful for beginners who are still mastering the form and still mastering exactly what it is they need to be doing for each exercise.
Mm-hmm. Nice. No, I actually really like that because with the upper and then the lower and then the full body, I think that people should definitely do that for beginning stages. The reason why would be because 3 days a week, well, let's step back. To gain muscle mass, to like get in shape of what they're wanting, instead of having the mindset going in, I got to work out 6 days a week. This is how your body really works, right? You just need to stimulate the muscle to grow, but that doesn't mean you have to just destroy yourself, right? And so especially when people are just getting in, they're also usually worried about, I don't know if you get this too, but maybe people come to you and they're like, man, that last trainer or that last program just killed me. I was so sore. I couldn't even walk for a week. And then I had to do that again. And it was just terrible. It was way too much. And that's, we totally understand that. And that's why I feel like he kind of created that beginner guide, is because it's just getting you in there, getting the movements, learning the form, but ultimately to stimulate like the muscle growth with the goals that you have. When you're starting out, we have newbie gains, right, Max? And so newbie gains. And so what that means is like, you're going to be more prone to be getting gains faster and at a lower total volume, meaning like the sets and the reps and the load and all that kind of stuff. And so I really like how he lays that out, how you lay it out, because upping the frequency makes it so you're not going to be just dead ass sore the next day and all that kind of stuff, because you're hitting multiple parts. You're not just destroying yourself on that day, but you're still spreading it out so you have the volume in there to actually get the benefits, right? So I really think that people listening should look into that, whether it's the upper, lower, full, or if they do 3 fulls, or if they do maybe this is more intermediate, but like push pull legs, some kind of variation that honestly you enjoy, but that allows you to not just like allows you to recover and stuff like that. And so yeah, no, I really like that what you have set up, and you said that you got great feedback from it too, right?
Yeah, it's been really great feedback so far. I'm really happy with it. If I can actually add one more thing, like kind of adding on to what you said about not just destroying a muscle. It's so funny because on Instagram specifically, I see tons of accounts with like a lot of followers that will do like, I don't know if you've seen like swipe workouts. So they've got like the videos of every exercise, and you can swipe through and see them all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll see several accounts that do those, and it's crazy. Like on a given day, let's say it's like back day, for example, part of like a typical bro split. These guys will do like 8 to 10 different exercises for one muscle group, which is like baffling to me. Like, let alone being in the gym for upwards of 2 hours just to get that done. It's just like, I feel like it's just ineffective at that point. It's so much volume at once. But like when I train, like you were saying, push pull legs is kind of a typical intermediate split, and that's how I'm training right now. And like on a push day, for example, I'll try to hit chest, shoulders, and triceps, and I'll literally do 2 exercises for each one, just because if I'm doing that day twice a week and I'm using compound movements that are hitting them from more of a strength standpoint, then it's just going to be so much more effective than just annihilating it once per week. And that's kind of just overkill. It's not even really as effective.
Yeah, and especially from like the natural your own natural, being of like not being enhanced is what I'm talking about, using any sort of external things. That changed the ball game. But from like, a guy going to the gym, beginner, intermediate, like our main thing is I guess people don't understand that like the building the muscle comes with the recovery, like the building back, like the food and the sleep and all that kind of stuff. But like to get the results that you're wanting, this is what I always tell people, because people want to like go from 0 to 100 like super fast, right? Like, okay, if I'm not just like totally destroyed by the end of my workout, it wasn't a good workout. There's good places and times or whatever to go to failure. I use that, and what failure means is to go until you cannot possibly go any further. There's good things to do with that, like it may be end of your straight set, like the end of the workout or whatever. But for most people listening, for beginners, I would strongly recommend not going to failure. I actually have my people go about like an RPE or whatever, 8, like so 2 reps before failure or so, and focusing on like a higher rep range of like 12 to 15, just because your body has to figure out like how the hell to lift it up, and you've never done it before. So you're going to be like all over the place because your coordination and stuff is not going to be like just like that, So I think that most people need to like take a step back and realize that, dude, I can get these gains like so much easier than the people in the gym already, because, all I have to do is go in and just start performing the exercises properly at a lower volume and just eat, or whatever, and just keep going, the consistency of it. So no, I agree with you on that. Anything to add on that?
No, yeah, I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. That's exactly it. Just not starting out with going crazy, but just starting out and giving yourself a nice point to progress from. That's kind of the biggest thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if I could go, dude, people are like, oh yeah, I want to be big and jacked and all that kind of stuff, whatever. Dude, if I could go back to when it all started and like what I knew now, if I knew then, I'd be like, go to the gym like 3 times a week, maybe 4, and leave it and be like, all right, see you guys. Sorry, I'm getting more gains than you right now. I'm just in a newbie stage, or whatever, right? It's like, so I guess that from like why we're talking about like volume and frequency and stuff is do the least amount of volume to get the most amount of results. It's the same with nutrition. It's the same with literally anything in life, right? So as you start to like maybe plateau, in your strength or your muscle gains or whatever, then yeah, add in some more volume, add in another set, or add in another day of just that straight isolation of that muscle group you want to build more. Usually it's people like chest or something like that. But yeah, so no, that's good, man. I like that your program layout. I like that a lot, actually. But I guess, transitioning, that's great for beginners getting in the gym, working out, getting confident. It's usually like a mental thing. And then maybe like a great start for, upper, lower than full. Do that stuff. Try and look up compound movements and just start learning them. Even start with like body weight squats, push-ups and stuff like that. And then go into just like no weight on the bars, figuring out the form, and then going to obviously increase the load. Don't just go in and like look at your friend and be like, he can do 225 squatting and you can't even do 135 and be like, well, shit, that discourages me. Don't do any of that stuff, because for one, he could be doing it completely wrong. But 2, it's just like that you're going to make more gains than him doing less weight. So, I mean, what? But I wanted to transition and talk a little more about your influencing. And I think a lot of people in here will maybe just starting out. I have a lot of people inquire with me saying, I'm just starting out, I've been lifting for like 6 months. I made a little bit of gains, but like, my ultimate goal is to be sponsored by, I don't even know, Gymshark or something crazy, something big, or like I want to be a fitness influencer. I want to help people. And those are usually as younger guys, right? But those are all great ambitions. And I love it. But what would you say to them, people just getting in the gym, and how to start connecting with people? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you kind of set me up for this answer perfectly, because it's hard to be successful when you go into it just wanting that success, wanting to build something so big, when you haven't even really mastered yourself yet. So, the kind of foundation of my page is self-improvement, even not necessarily from a physical standpoint, but from a mental and a social standpoint, just, working on yourself consistently every day, waking up and making sure your actions actually reflect your values. That's what I like my page to be about. And, these guys are more than capable of eventually like getting to that point where they can start to influence others. But if you are not focusing on yourself first and on being somebody that, you actually firmly believe can be a great role model to others, and, you're actively becoming the person you want to be, then it's going to be a lot more difficult you're not really going to be fooling anybody, because they're going to see, well, even if they don't see, it's just not a strong foundation to start that kind of thing from. So I've definitely found that by working on myself, just actively trying to become more confident, strengthen my weaknesses. For example, I'm a pretty good writer, but I'm not always the best in actual, face-to-face social interactions, like interview type setting, small talk type setting. So that's something I'm consistently working on. And just by, working on it and acknowledging that that's a weakness of mine, I've already become so much better. And there's nothing wrong with starting an Instagram page like that, or a YouTube channel, and trying to help others. But you'll find it's just going to be so much more successful if you're working on yourself at the same time, and you're improving, and people can see that, you acknowledge you're not perfect, but that you can always be improving on yourself. That's probably what I would recommend to those guys.
Yeah, I agree, like 100%. Usually it's people getting out there, and I kind of have a problem with this. I started out more like trying to help people in the very beginning, but I didn't really know it myself fully, right? And a lot of people try and do that and teach people, but then they'll get a lot of hardship comments and whatever, like, hey, bro, you're not doing this right, and all this stuff. And you're going to have to deal with that. But what Max is saying, and what I totally agree with, is he built his platform on documenting his journey, meaning putting out content of how he progressed. He just told you just told me your maybe social interaction, like face-to-face. Literally, this right now is helping you grow, and it's growing your audience because you put yourself in a position to go on some dude's podcast and talk about your journey. You know what I mean? Like, that's exactly how he's saying he's growing, because he's documenting his growth, which he's doing right now in front of you. So the same thing with this fitness stuff. That's what I tried to do a lot. It's just like, I have like my backstory and everything like that, and growing forward, but also then getting to the point where I felt competent and stuff like that, and the questions that I would be asked, to answer them and post content on them and stuff like that. And now I put out a lot of, content that has video stuff with like writing on it, like showing exactly what to be doing, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I love that. I love it, love it, love it. Like, just document, just create more. Like, stop worrying about what other people are going to think. Just start creating your journey, whether it's, hey, man, I found out this recipe for baking chicken breast is super freaking good. Or like, going to the gym and PRing 135 on squat. Who gives a shit? It was only 135. It was your first time, getting up there, and actually that's a PR for you. So that should be huge, because the cool thing is nowadays social media is like all archived, right? So like Instagram or like YouTube especially is archived, right? And you're going to be able to go back and like, you started when you're like 16, you go back when you're 20, 4 years ago, and you're going to be like, holy shit, this is exactly what this guy did right here. And then he put them side by side. He's like, look at the transformation. And then you have people that are like, holy shit, look at this guy's journey. That's cool. And then it could potentially go viral, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Like, I'll do that on my page every now and then, like scroll all the way back and looking at some of my first few posts, aside from being like pretty, low quality pictures, like not the greatest quality overall content. Aside from that, I just like physically and mentally like can just see you read it in the caption, you can see it in the pictures, just like the difference in pure confidence and just in terms of pure growth. It's crazy to scroll and look back on it. I know a lot of people will end up deleting their old stuff just because it's not as good of a look, but I don't think I could do that, because I love that people can scroll back and see like over time how much it's actually changed.
Yeah, it's a lot more transparent and genuine. Like you don't give a shit. Like, dude, like, yeah, that's there. Like, I'm not here to get attention. I'm here to get engagement with you, to show you like I'm a real dude. Like, this shit, like, everybody started here, right? And so that's what I would suggest too. Is a lot of people ask me that, what should I do? Like, how do I become sponsored? How do I become like a modeler for this or an athlete for that? I'm like, dude, just fucking start. Just start documenting your stuff, and yeah. You just got to be consistent with that documentation, just like you're consistent at the gym to get the gains in the first place. And I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, I get a lot of it didn't happen for me. Like, dude, I got so much hate when I first started, and I don't have a following like you do, but I like have a good engagement with my followers, you know? And so it's just like people have been following me from the beginning. And it's so funny because when people, just letting people know when they start, you're going to have like people that are like, dude, why in the hell are you doing that? Like, that's retarded. Like, you do not look that way. You don't look good. Like, don't do that. And then you have people like, oh, cool. Yeah, let him do his own thing. That's really awesome, you know, and try to like give you some encouragement, even though in the back of their head, they're like, yeah, I don't know how this is going to go. That's what's going to happen. Just letting you know. And so then if you just keep doing it and just don't give a shit of what they say, just put tunnel vision on. What has it been for me now? Damn, has it been 7 years, 5 years, 5 to 7, whatever it is later? People are going to be like, the people that said that you're an idiot for starting are going to be like, hey, can you help me with my weight loss goals?
Honestly, man.
Promise you.
Yeah, I mean, the hate is like, it can be brutal. Like I'm always thinking to myself, like, how can I become immune to this stuff? But I think to at least some degree, you never really do, because it's still as much love as you can get on a post or in content in general. It's that one hateful comment that is always going to be like chilling in the back of your head. And like, it's so hard to ignore, but you really just got to understand, like, if somebody is going out of their way to, you know, go to your page, look at your content and type out a comment to try to make you feel worse about yourself, something's wrong with them. Like, that's not on you if they have the time in their day to go out of their way to do that. It's not always easy to see that in the moment, but it just sort of keeping that in the back of my head and just being like, keep doing it. Like, they want me to feed into that. Like, I can't give them the time of day. That kind of is what keeps me going through that. It can suck sometimes, but that's just life. And the bigger you get on a platform like this, or just in general, the more attention you get, the more negative attention you're going to get. Yeah. And it's natural. That's how it goes.
That's how it goes. I agree. And actually, for people listening, and maybe they're like in that beginning stage and getting that hate already, this is awesome. This is great. So I would say that instead of viewing that as it's negative, you should be thanking that person because they just commented on your post and then it started a conversation, and to let you guys know, to maybe potentially allow you to go a little more viral, you need more engagement. So that comment thread that you guys going back and forth is going to help more people see your post, dude. And so I would bring on all the hate I can, because then what you do is, I love it because then I can just respond in positivity and like, you know, optimism, and just like, even if they say something that is true about your post, you're like, oh shit, that's true. Now I feel like I'm retarded or whatever. Even if it's true, who cares? The main point at the end of the day is your intent was positive, right? And so if you just respond with, you know, thank you for, you know, your comment, I really appreciate it. I'm going to definitely try that next time. I'm glad that you're viewing my stuff, and so you can help me. You know, something as simple as that. And then they're going to be like, wait, what the hell? Like, and then they might, you know, whatever, you just keep it going. It might help actually grow what you're trying to do. So another way to look at it.
Yeah, the way you respond to those people makes a huge difference too, especially if you are actually, you know, commenting in a way that everybody else can see it. Because it can be really easy, like when somebody, you know, talks shit on your content, to want to like talk shit back to them. But if your followers see that, they definitely lose a little bit of respect for you. Mm-hmm. So I'll always try to, if I can't, you know, aside from when I just don't want to give them the time of day, I'll just delete the comment, which a lot of the time I do, because you know, it can be tough to get rid of it instead of trying to fight back, but sometimes you just need to get rid of it. You don't need it.
Yeah, I definitely, for like paid advertising and stuff, for people just meeting me, for sure, like I'll delete stuff. But for organic stuff, I'll leave it. And then it is super awesome. Try, like, people who are having the hate, try it, man. Just try to reply back with a positive outlook of comment of just thanking them for the stuff they just told you. It sounds weird, but just like take your mindset out for a second, thank them, and then see how many people like your comment that you put after that. Because if you start, like, I've had some comments now where somebody comments something bad, I'll reply optimistically and stuff. And you got to go deep into the thread. Like, right, you got to, like, not only do they see the post and then you have like your caption and then like the first comment or two comments, whatever, then you got to go to more comments And then you got to go to replies, right? So you got to go deep into this post just to even see that damn reply. And then they're liking your reply. That means that those people are like into you, respect you, and love that you just did that. You know what I mean? Like that's how you engage and like have a real relationship with your followers. In my opinion, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, it reminds me of kind of recently, this is sort of a funny story. I did a post, started promoting a new service I started offering, which is like actually Instagram growth consultation calls. So people that are looking to build a business on social media is kind of just my way of helping them out. And I do charge for the calls. I've heard of people charging $500 and up dollars for these calls. I charge $50 for a call. Not even meaning to plug this. That's just what the post was about.
You can plug that shit, dude. Yeah. Let's go. Hopefully this will be around forever. And then like by the time that somebody sees it a couple years down the road, you are charging $5,000 for a call. And then
exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you're listening and are interested, I do still offer it, but yeah, this post was just to sort of promote it when I first started really pushing that service. And this guy it was so weird to me because he's another influencer like trying to build a business on Instagram. And he literally commented, because I said in the post, like, I really want to help you guys. Like, that's why I'm offering this service now. And he commented, like, if you really wanted to help people, then why would you charge for this? And that that kind of like caught me off guard because this guy, I swear to God, I had helped him at one point with growing his page and like how to build his following. So it was so bizarre to me that he was like coming at me. But, I responded. I'm not going to like respond and say, screw you or anything. I responded, I mean, this is why I'm doing this to try to create a sustainable business for myself. Like if somebody who enjoyed investment banking, was in the field, would they do it for free? Just
do investment for free for you. No, it's not how it works.
Yeah, it's so, and I was just saying, like, if I want to be able to do this full time and help people full time, but if I was doing it for free, I just couldn't. It's as simple as that. I got to help myself too.
Yeah. No, yeah, 100%, man. And there's so many people will try and do that where there is, I think why now is because nowadays it's like people are posting content literally only for the reason for mixing up the two of like, helping people and like saying it's for brand awareness and then like selling people, right? Like their main thing of other pages is selling people. But if you can maybe like distinguish the two and like if everybody knows you're trying to build a business for this reason, then who gives a shit? Like it's like exactly what you said. If you're an investment banker, like you can't go in and be like, you can either go in and be like somebody who's already made it and be like, yeah, I just want to do it for free. Like, I just want to help you guys out, give myself satisfaction. That's cool. Branding my name to help you guys because when you're successful, people will know who I am because obviously I helped you. Or then go in and be like, I have a lot of useful strategies. This is your obstacles. I can do this for you to get you here. I'm going to charge you this because that's, business. So there's like a difference. And I think people start to get it like mixed up. And then they hate on you when you are like, I see a lot of content for helping with your fitness goals and stuff on your page. So that's like your brand awareness of like, I really want to help you with your fitness goals and stuff like that. The outcome of you doing all that was growing, but you're not posting on your page all the time. Like, hey, here's how to get 100K followers. Like, I don't know if I saw any of that on your page. Maybe a couple times you've done like how to help or whatever, but like, that's different. You know what I mean? Like that was the result from you doing all that stuff. So that's totally a business move. Like, I don't know. I agree with you.
Yeah, no, kind of going off what you said, like that service is on top of like putting out free information, free content, like every single day. It's like, why, like that alone, I can do that, but why should I not be able to turn that into a business for myself? And on top of doing that, also offer a paid service that, some people are willing to pay because they do see the value in it. Like it's just not a bad thing to be doing. It's fair. It makes sense. It's logical.
Yeah, exactly. So, but no, hey, like, holy shit, it's already been 50 minutes. So like kind of wrapping it up, that was a great conversation. Like I love to have you on, bro. Like that was awesome. Thank you so much. So I guess wrapping this up, what I usually do is ask a question for the viewer or for the listeners. I got to think about what that is. And I think that what it would be is tell people one thing that would get themselves into the gym and that would allow them to stay consistent towards their goals? Give them, how about this? Give them a realistic time frame, or like a realistic structure for a program that is logical, and not having to be overbearing with all this bullshit, whatever people say. Like, tell somebody one thing you would do if you go back and you just started again, knowing now what you knew or knowing then what you know now.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the best decision I've ever made to step foot in the gym. And, if all you really have to do first is get yourself there. You're there, you're like, okay, I'm going to do something. From there, you go, okay, I went once this week. Let's see if I can make it 3 times this week, or even 3 times next week. And if you can just get into the habit of, at a regular amount, whether that's 2 to 3 times a week, whether it's more, whether it's even less, if you can get yourself into the habit of showing up there, doing something, then you can build on that. And that's a starting point. But like we were talking about earlier, it's really just about giving yourself that foundation of something concrete to build off of. So, my advice to those people would be, get yourself there, start, do something. It's the same thing with my page. If I never started just doing it and being consistent with it, I never would have gotten to where I am today. Same thing with fitness, same thing with literally anything in life. Start, get yourself there, and be consistent with it. And the results will start to come. And that's kind of when it becomes addicting. That's when you're like, okay, this is real. This is actually, worth my time. And that's kind of the best way I could put it. Just start, and it'll grow into something. You just really have to be consistent with it and do something rather than nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I love it, man. Consistency is key. Look back 5 years later and thank yourself for sure. So anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the description, all of Max's IG, email. You got a YouTube and everything, probably? You got a little bit?
I just started on YouTube fairly recently.
Cool. I'll put all of that stuff in the description, and you can check out all of his great content, as well as I'll put all of my stuff in there too. So if you have any questions for him, whether it's every man's gym, what the hell is it called?
It's the Every Man's Gym Plan.
Every Man's Gym Plan. If you're interested in that, you can go check it out on his page. Also, definitely if you're looking to try and get some tactics on social media growth for Instagram especially, talk to this guy. Other than that, thank you again, my man. Hope we can do it again soon. And that's it. That's all I got.
It's been a pleasure being on here, man. I appreciate it.
All right. We'll talk to you soon, man.
See you later.